Hello everybody, my name is Rolak and welcome back to Pokemon Emerald. In the last episode, we got started on our brand new Pokemon journey, getting ourselves our first starter, being the Pokemon Trico. Unfortunately not a great nature, but we'll have to deal with it. Honestly, the IVs alone are just as good enough, so I don't think we need to worry too much about it. So yeah, EVs, I should probably go over this. Just right off the bat. Every Pokemon, wild, or I can't remember if it's just wild or also trainers. Pokemon that you defeat will yield a certain effort value. When that Pokemon is defeated, your Pokemon will gain it, and it will gain an increase to that stat. Every Pokemon has a set amount of EVs. Some Pokemon are better to train off of if you really want to get this going. I don't care too much about this. I don't think it will affect me that much, hopefully. Having a wide spread of stats isn't terrible, but if you want to specialize in certain stats, that's not a bad way to go either. Am I able to actually buy some stuff real quick? Because if that's the case, then we could probably go over some more Pokemon. No, I cannot. Can't buy anything important just yet. Or anything of real use just yet. You are in a very inconvenient spot. Can I just say that? Alright, Route 103. We got some more new Pokemon for us to encounter here. Or just more Poochyena. Again, I will be going over Pokemon later, when we actually have the means to catch. As for right now, there's not really much purpose to doing it. We should also go over some actual, proper differences that this game has made. Or at least the devs of this certain ROM hack have done. What are you gonna say? Staggering tires for a potion. Yeah, you should have. What does this say? Okay. There's Brendan. We're gonna fight one more Pokemon and then we shall be good to go. So during this battle, I'm gonna explain something. So, pre-Generation 4, I know we just did a Generation 4 game last time, so this doesn't really apply now, but I'm going to explain it now. So, pre-Generation 4, moves were split into two categories of damage types. There was physical and there was special. Before Gen 4, each move was simply, if it was one type, it was special. If it was a different type, it would be physical. That is still the case for this one. I'm going to show a list of moves that are both physical and special, but there were some changes made. Ghost type in particular, instead of being purely physical, was changed to special to better benefit Pokemon that actually have a good special stat. Whereas Dark type, which was only special pre-Generation 4, is now physical to better suit the myriad of Pokemon that have good physical attack. That have good physical attack stats to benefit off of that. So that is the prime benefit of the special physical stat split that was done for this version. Okay, so it's this one and that one live. What? It's this one and that one that live on Route 103. Hey, it's May. Oh yeah, Dad gave you a Pokemon. Since we're here, how about a little battle? I'll teach you what being a trainer's about. So our first battle with our rival, Brendan. Brendan is going to have the Pokemon that is super effective against your Pokemon. So if you chose Torchic, he would have a Mudkip. If you chose Trico, he would have Torchic. Did I say that right? Yeah, and if you chose Mudkip, he would have Trico. The first battle is never really difficult. More often than not, the AI will simply just use the stat moves, and if you get a critical hit, you don't really have to worry too much about it. That's it. Huh, May, you're not too shabby. I think I get it. I think I know why my dad... Oh, sorry. I think I know why my dad has his eye on you, out for you now. Hey, man. Tell your dad to back off. I'm still a kid. Look, your Pokemon already likes you, even though you just got it. May, I get the feeling that you could befriend any Pokemon Vs. We should head back to the lab. Around here, special note now. So now we gotta slowly walk all the way back to Little Route. I'm heading back to my dad's lab now. May, you should tussle back too. Well, I don't see you fucking helping out in any way, buddy. Thankfully, these ledges aren't here to help us out with not needing to go through Pokemon grass, which is nice. Alright, let's have a chat with the prof. Prof is short for professor, by the way, in case you didn't know. Oh, hi, May. I heard you beat Brendan on your first try. That's excellent. Brendan's been helping with my research for a long time. Brendan is going to be a great trainer. Here, May, I ordered this for my research, but I think you should have this Pokedex. May receive the Pokedex. What do you mean you ordered it? The Pokedex is a high-tech tool that automatically makes a record of any Pokemon you meet or catch. My kid Brendan goes everywhere with it. Whenever my kid catches a rare Pokemon and records his data in the Pokedex, why, Brendan looks for me while I'm out doing fieldwork and shows me. Huh, so you got a Pokedex too. Well then, here, I'll give you these. Obtained Pokeballs. You know, it's more fun to have a whole bunch of Pokemon. I'm going to explore all over the place to find different Pokemon. If I find any cool Pokemon, you bet I'll try and get them with Pokeballs. Okay, we're just... Cool, okay, bye. They really didn't explain a whole lot in this game. They kind of just let you go, like, have at it. May, did you introduce yourself to Professor Birch? Oh, what an adorable Pokemon. You got it from Professor Birch. How nice. You're your father's child, alright. You look good together with Pokemon. Here, honey, if you're going on an adventure, wear these running shoes. They'll put a zip in your step. Running shoes. May, those shoes came with instructions. Press the B button while wearing these running shoes to run extra fast. Step on the running shoes and race into the great outdoors. I think that you have your very own Pokemon now. Your father will be overjoyed. But please be careful. If anything happens, you can come home. Go on. Go get them, honey. Yeah, we can run faster now. Woohoo. I mean, I could have done this, but I'm going to try and avoid using that as much as I can. Alright, now that we have Pokeballs, we can finally go over the Pokemon that we can catch in the wild. Starting off with Route 10. I forget which one this is already. Should we just go over every Pokemon that there is in here? Yeah. So, first off, we have Poochyena. Poochyena is a Dark type. Very rare for, like, starting out in the zones to have just a Dark type. But Poochyena is Dark type. Starting off, it's not too bad. Starting off, it's not too bad. It does have a kind of a lackluster ability at the start, being Runaway, which isn't too great. But Poochyena does have a pretty good attack stat for starting off. It's not a bad starting Pokemon in the first route, and once it evolves into Mightyena, it gets even better, having really good physical attack, much faster, and having probably one of the best abilities in the entire game, Intimidate. Yeah, no, this is a really solid Pokemon, and with the physical special change that was made to this game, it's even better, because so many Dark-type moves are now actually really good on Mightyena. So, yeah, definitely pick it up if you're looking for a good early Dark-type Pokemon. Also on the early routes is Zigzagoon. Zigzagoon is the Rattata of this generation. Zigzagoon is not a terrible Pokemon to have. The only benefit that you would have with it is that it can learn a lot of HM moves, which we'll be getting into later. But aside from that, Zigzagoon's not a terrible Pokemon. I mean, once it evolves into Linoon, it gets some pretty good attack, gets a lot faster. It's pretty fast for a starting route Pokemon, which is not bad. So, yeah, Linoon, not a terrible Pokemon. It has the great ability Pickup, which has a good chance of getting some useful items. Definitely grab a Zigzagoon early on if you need some, early item stuff or whatever it is that you need. Next up is... Did I really? Wow, okay. I'm going to have to change that because apparently I just labeled Wurmple as Zigzagoon in my BIOS. We'll worry about that later. Wurmple is your standard starting Bug type. It's not the greatest because it has very weak stats and it's not super fantastic, but it has the unique benefit of being one of the few Pokemon, being the only Pokemon that can evolve randomly. Once it hits level 7, it can either evolve into Silcoon or Cascoon. These two really don't have any differences and don't have any really beneficial stats other than just being a defensive bug Pokemon that evolves into something that's decently good later on. If you have a Silcoon, it will evolve into Beautifly. Beautifly, for what it is, it's got buffed in this game, so it's not bad. It's got good speed, good special attack, even good attack if you want to run some bug-type moves on it, which I think are physical in this game. But yeah, no, Beautifly is honestly not a bad Pokemon to have. It is pretty frail, being a bug-flying type and having, very little defense and special defense, but it's really not that bad. It's been buffed considerably, so you don't really have to worry about it being too frail. Yeah. And if it evolves in the Cascoon, you will get Dustox. Dustox is practically the opposite of Beautifly, being more defensively oriented. Being a bug poison type, it is weak to ground types. Unfortunately, it loses the flying that Beautifly has. But all in all, Dustox is not a bad early defensive Pokemon if you really want to get into the nitty and gritty of it. So yeah, the bug types were buffed in this game. They're not absolutely terrible like most games make them out to be. So yeah, definitely pick them out if you want some good early bug type Pokemon. There are some better ones later down the game, but we'll get into that when we get to that. Alright, as for this route, there is a certain Pokemon that I want to actually catch for my team. The first one of many. In the meantime, I think we can also go over the other Pokemon that are in this route. If I can remember, I need to actually look up something real quick because I need to have the full list. So give me a second here. Okay, here we are. Much better. Okay, so now we can go over the Pokemon that are in this route. Now I actually know which Pokemon will be appearing. So, Route 103 introduces quite a lot of new Pokemon to encounter, actually. The one being the rarest... Ooh, this is actually the one we want. Excellent. We're going to go over Wingull first, because that is the one that I wanted to actually find for my team. Wingull, not a bad Pokemon. It's a water flying type. Hopefully I don't... You know what? I'm not even going to bother risking anything. I'm just going to throw a Pokeball right at it. Wingull, not a bad Pokemon. It was... I think it was buffed in this game. Having a water flying type... Okay, that's not a great start. Water flying type is a fantastic type to have. Being the only weakness it has is... okay. The only weakness it has is electric, which isn't too bad. Actually, no, that's not true. It's weak to rock type, too. What am I talking about? But a water flying type, very good. I just need a flying type early on for a certain, thing that we need later. But yeah, no, Wingull is not a bad Pokemon. I enjoyed using Wingull and its evolution in previous runs, and I think it is an excellent Pokemon to have. Wingull, it makes its nest on a sheer cliff at the edge of the sea. It has trouble keeping its wings flapping in flight. Instead, it soars on updrafts. We are going to be giving a name to Wingull. We are going to be calling it Gulliver. And he's going to be joining us on our travels. Please have a decent nature. Let me lose myself. Serious. Okay, that's not bad. That means that no stats are changed. Ooh, that's a 0 in special attack. That's kind of downside. We'll survive. Like I said, Wingull doesn't have a bad special attack in any way whatsoever. Alright, so now we got our new party member. Everything is going good. I'm going to go over the other Pokemon that are in the route. So, what's next? Let's see. Okay, so next we have... Let's go over the ones going down, sending encounter rate. You'll find Seedot more often or not. Seedot is a good choice for another grass type if you didn't pick Trico. Starting off, it's rather good defensively, not too great offensively. It is, not a bad Pokemon to have early on in the game. Once it evolves in Nuzleaf, it gets a lot faster, gets good offensive options, gains the Dark type, which will gain you access to some more coverage. Being Grass Dark type, pretty good. The only downside is that you are weak to Bug, which, shouldn't be too much of a problem. But yeah, Nuzleaf, pretty solid Pokemon. Even more so when it evolves into Shiftry. Shiftry becomes an absolute beast once you get the Leaf Stone. Having really good attack, special attack, can be pretty fast, even faster if it's in sunlight with the Chlorophyll ability. If you have that. But yeah, no, Shiftry's pretty solid. I have used it in some gameplays other than this one. I really enjoy Shiftry. It's a pretty solid Pokemon, and a pretty good one if you want just a good, decent grass type that is also pretty fast on your team. Next up is... What is next? We have... Where is it? Surskit. Surskit is a bug water type Pokemon. Surskit was kind of buffed in the fact that it was... Well, just kind of given a better evolution, really. Surskit at the moment, again, early evolution bug type Pokemon, not too great. Not bad special attack for starting out. Good speed. Good things all around. But once it evolves into Masquerain, much, much better Pokemon. Way faster. Gets decent defense abilities. capabilities with good special defense and alright defense. But what makes it even better is it gains the ability Intimidate, which, as we've discussed before, is one of the best abilities in the game. It also gets a crazy good high special attack, so it's going to be dishing out some damage. Again, it got buffed in this game as far as I'm aware. So yeah, Masquerain is definitely, that's a good thing about this game, this ROM hack, is that they have buffed some Pokemon that aren't considered good in regular play, but in this game, they are fantastic. So yeah, definitely recommend Masquerain, really good Pokemon. The last Pokemon that you can encounter here, the one that is the rarest one, is Lotad. Lotad is a water grass type, so if you picked Torchic, pretty good Pokemon to have. Lotad, I mean, it's Lotad. You're starting out, it's not too great. Pretty low offensive capabilities, not too bad defensively, but it's early. Lombre gets considerably better, getting much more better special attack and defense, and just overall becoming a pretty solid Pokemon. You do need the Water Stone to evolve into Ludicolo, at which rate it will become just an absolute beast. It becomes much more bulkier. That Water Grass type really makes it more dangerous to really get a hang of, because it's really only weak to two things, being Flying and Bug, as far as I can remember, which isn't that common of an offensive capability. So, against certain things, it's going to be really good. I should also point out that with Pokemon that evolve by stones, they are not going to be knowing a lot of moves when they evolve. So, if you have a Pokemon that can evolve by stone, wait it out until you can get some really good moves on the pre-evolution. Because once it evolves, it gets limited to like 4 moves, and those 4 moves are never good. I have been rambling about Pokemon for, close over 10 minutes now. That's what happens when you start out a new Pokemon game. You gotta explain things. And I've been training up Pokemon very poorly in the meantime. I probably should have just continued on with the story. But we'll be getting into that pretty shortly. Alright. Now that we've gotten all that out of the way, we've explained a bunch of things, you finished sketching the footprints of rare Pokemon. Turns out they're only my own footprints. This guy was blocking this way until you've beaten Brendan and gotten the Pokedex. You can progress any further. But now we're on Route 102. I'm going to catch a whole bunch of Pokemon. Cool, kid. And we have our first encounter of a trainer battle. If you have a Pokemon with you, then you're an official Pokemon trainer. You can't say no to my challenge. I mean, I could probably punch you in the face and then run away. That probably can't be too bad to do. Anyway, trainer battles function a bit differently than wild Pokemon battles. First off, you can't flee, and you can't catch the trainer's Pokemon, obviously. Trainer Pokemon usually also yield better experience just because they have, higher level. That's not too great. Trainer battles are the ones you want to be using for leveling up your Pokemon. Wow, that is really good. I was going to use this battle to go over the new Pokemon we can encounter in this route. But I guess we'll wait. This route doesn't really have anybody too new. It has one new Pokemon, and I think we'll just talk about it with this trainer. Alright, so in this route, a very low chance as far as I'm aware. Yeah, 4% chance of finding it. But if you do manage to find it, it is excellent. That Pokemon is, if I can find it, how far ahead is it? Good lord. Pretty far. There they are. Ralts! Ralts is a Psychic type, being that it's really good special offensively. Ralts, as starting out, again, pretty frail. Has a pretty good ability being Synchronize and or Trace, which are really, really good abilities. Synchronize, if the Pokemon gets a status infliction, it will pass it on to the opposing Pokemon. Trace copies the opposing Pokemon's ability, which is really good in certain situations. Evolving into Kirlia, it gets better special offensive capabilities, getting a little bit faster, more special defensively. It overall just gets pretty good, and even better once it evolves into Gardevoir. Gardevoir is the quintessential early Psychic type that evolves into just being a really good Pokemon. It's got good speed, good defenses, and it's got crazy good special attack, being one of the highest in this game. Early on, it is a fantastic Pokemon to have. I would fully recommend running around in this route for as long as possible to find Ralts, because it is just so good. I would urge caution, though, to be very patient, because Ralts' only move when you catch it is Teleport, which ends the battle immediately. So, a lot of patience is required for catching Ralts. Ugh. Watch, I'll encounter it now. No, that's another Poochyena. That is, yeah, that's all the new Pokemon. You have a higher chance of finding Lotad on this route than you do in the last one. Kind of swaps the encounter rate with C-Dot being 1%. Yeah. I guess I should also go over some other battle things. So, let's go over status inflictions, because that's always fun to go over. So, certain moves are able to inflict certain status conditions onto your Pokemon. There are a total of... I think there's only like about 6. I can never remember because I am terrible with remembering things. But let's see. As far as I'm aware, there are 6 major status inflictions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And a few other ones that are some more minor ones. First off is probably going to be the most common one. Poison. Poison is very simple. Over the course of the battle, your Pokemon will be inflicted with poison. It will continuously take damage at the end of the turns. If the Pokemon is badly poisoned, that damage will increase subsequently over several turns. Potentially being very dangerous, but aside from the other point in which it inflicts damage, in battle, outside of battle, a poison Pokemon will continue to take damage with every step, eventually losing all of its HP and fainting. In which case, you will have to bring it to a Pokemon Center. There is Paralysis. Paralysis is probably the least dangerous, but also probably the most annoying one to deal with. Paralysis, your Pokemon will have a chance to just straight up not do anything on its turn, and will also reduce its speed considerably. It's really good for stalling and for catching Pokemon as well, so I would definitely recommend using it to do such things as that. Next up is Burn. Burn is very similar to Poison, in which your Pokemon will take continuous damage at the end of their turns. And their attack stat will also be lowered considerably, similar to the speed from Paralysis. The other two aren't as dangerous or common, but they are still pretty annoying. Very similar ones. There is Sleep and there is Freeze. They kind of follow the same thing. Pokemon that are asleep cannot act, and from like 1 to 3 turns, they will stay asleep, in which case they have a chance to awake every single turn. Pretty self-explanatory. Certain moves will work while the Pokemon is asleep, such as Sleep Talk, Snore, and I think there was some other one, I can't remember. Those will allow you to either use... Sleep Talk can either be a move that can use your other moves, or Snore just deals damage while you're asleep. Pretty good. Frozen is probably the worst one to have, but it's also the rarest one. What that does is that it will prevent you from attacking, and you have a chance to thaw on each turn. Usually getting hit by fire-type moves will thaw you out, so if that's a strategy you want to employ, try it out. But it's very similar to Sleep, in which you can just have a chance of thawing out every turn, and you can't act. It's very similar. Alright, Berries. Berries are health items that you can attach to Pokemon. Each berry has its own special effect. Being the Pecha, which will heal a Pokemon from being poisoned, which is very helpful to have if you have a Pokemon going up against somebody that uses that. Oranberry is a very standard starting berry, which simply restores 10 HP once the Pokemon's HP gets to the yellow. Pretty good. Alright, with that, again, I have just been doing a lot of talking, and we're 24 minutes in. Let's do one last battle, and then we will probably end the episode. There are also minor status ailments, such as Confusion and Infatuation. Confusion, your Pokemon has a 50-50 chance to either use the move it was told to do, or attack itself for standard typeless move based on your physical attack. So if you have a high physical attack Pokemon, be careful of being confused. Infatuation is the most annoying goddamn status infliction you can ever get in the Pokemon history. It is terrible. It has a 50-50 chance of either doing the move that you asked it to do, or just do nothing. It's infatuated with the Pokemon. It can only affect Pokemon that are the opposite gender of the Pokemon that you say, like, attract or has cute charm. So that's really the only counter to it, but it's still really, really annoying. Combine that with Paralysis, which can stack with Infatuation, and you got just the chances of, like, you'll take 10 turns to do one goddamn move. That is pretty much everything there is to do. with statuses. I mean, there's probably a bunch of several different things, but we don't have to really worry about that. Supersonic, that's not too helpful of a move to have right now, Gulliver. Oh, but Gex grew to level 10. And Quick Attack, okay, that's also pretty good to have. Alright. I think this is a good stopping point to stop the episode for. We've been going on for a while just talking about Pokemon. This is the early Pokemon discussion episode, as you can tell evidently by how long we've been going on. So, next time on Pokemon Emerald, we are going to be progressing into... What is this route called? What is the town? Petalburg. We're going to be getting to Petalburg, maybe talking to our dad, doing some other things, and having fun times. See you guys next time.